Hello. Welcome once again to another video on celestial navigation. My name is Chris Kreitline. I'm a celestial navigation instructor with Globus Horizon. Now this video is going to be a little different in that what we're going to be talking about today is how to use calculators when you're working with celestial navigation numbers, specifically degrees, minutes, and seconds of longitude or latitude. Now you can also use calculators to work with hours, minutes, and seconds of time. But you have to be careful because you may be going into the next day, or if you're subtracting, going into the day before. So that's another issue. But today I just want to talk about how to use calculators working with degrees, minutes, and seconds of latitude and longitude. Now you can do this work in your head, but it's a lot easier to do it with a calculator. And here we have 3 examples of calculators. Unfortunately, calculator manufacturers have not seen fit to standardize the processes of using a calculator. So almost everyone is different. When you get a calculator, you're going to have to sit down and figure out exactly how to use your specific calculator. Now I'm going to show you these today, but I can't guarantee that the one you have works like either of these 3. Okay, you can always contact me and I'll try to help you out. But it's important before you come to a celestial navigation class where you intend on using your calculator that you learn how to do it so you don't have to waste time there fumbling around figuring out how to use your calculator to work with degrees, minutes, and seconds. Okay, now everybody knows how to add 1 and 1, 2 and 2 on a calculator probably. But we're not going to be adding 1 and 1, 2 and 2. We're going to be adding degrees, minutes, and seconds. Now, of course, in a circle, there's 360 degrees. And in celestial navigation, we're going to be working with that a lot. Where we are on a circle around the Earth. In a right triangle, there is 90 degrees. In a straight line, there is 180 degrees from one side to the next. Of course, why? Because it's half of a circle that would then be 360 degrees. Well, that's pretty straightforward. But how many minutes are in a degree? Well, let's take 1 degree equals how many minutes? 60 minutes. And that's the symbol for a minute, just a hash mark there, like an apostrophe. Okay, 1 degree has 60 minutes. Now I'm not talking time, I'm talking measurements around a circle, or angular measurements, we might say. Now in each minute, there are 60 seconds. So you see how that can get quite confusing when you're adding these up. Here's a typical one. 45 degrees, 25 minutes, 30 seconds. Now how do you add 10 degrees, 15 minutes, and 10 seconds to that? Well, you could just do it longhand. That would be 40. This would be 2, 3, 40. And of course, 55. Well, that's not too tough. But let's add 19 minutes and 20 seconds to this. Well, now we come up with 60 seconds, 59 minutes and 55 degrees. Well, you see how this 60 then becomes another minute. So we have 0 here for seconds, 60 minutes, 55 degrees. Well, we can go further than that because this 60 minutes converts to a degree, so we end up with 0 seconds, 0 minutes, and 56 degrees. Well, let's see, that took quite a while to figure all that out. But you can do this work on a calculator if you're careful and you know how your calculator works. But the important point I was showing you here was we're working now. Of course, our number system 1 through 10 is a base 10 system, I suppose, because we have 10 fingers. But degrees, minutes, and seconds is what mathematicians would call base 60. Because when you get 60, it then goes over to the next one. When you get 60 minutes, that goes over to a degree. So it's a little bit different than what we're conventionally used to working with as far as numbers 1 through 10. Okay, now another thing I have to tell you. We worked here with, let's just say 45 degrees, 25 minutes, and 30 seconds. A calculator, a lot of them, convert these after you punch them in and you hit equal, you enter in these numbers, it will convert them to decimal places. And that can really confuse people. Now, what do I mean by that? Let me take an easier one than this. Forget that. Let's go 45 degrees, 30 minutes. You punch that into a calculator and it may give you this, 45.5. And you go, well, I punched in 45 degrees, 30 minutes, and here it's given me 45.5. I don't understand that. There may or may not be a little degree sign there. Well, that's because 30 minutes is 0.5 or 1/2 of another degree. So you may punch in degrees, minutes, and seconds, and the computer gives you 45.55. Well, there is another little button on your computer on your calculator that you can push, and it'll convert that back to degrees, minutes, and seconds. In this case, 5 is 1/2 of one of these, so that would be 30. Once again, we're working base 60 here. 5 we already know is 30. 45. So that would be 45 degrees, 30 minutes, and 30 seconds. Okay? So you're going to have to be aware of that when you're working these problems. There will be a button, and I'm going to show it to you here in a minute. Okay. Just be aware that your computer, your calculator, keeps saying computer, your calculator may want to work with decimals. And we always want to convert those back to degrees, minutes, and seconds. Now sometimes, and in fact generally in celestial navigation, we'll have degrees, minutes, and a decimal point with our minutes. Generally don't work with seconds in celestial navigation, but every once in a while we do, so you've got to be aware of it. But generally we work with degrees, minutes, and tenths of a minute, as we have here. Okay, let's take a look at a calculator. Now, here we have these three. And like I said, unfortunately, all three of these operate differently. I'm going to take this first one here. Now, let's enter in 45. Now, this is 45 degrees. When you get a calculator, you have to make sure that it has this button right here. That has a little degree symbol, a little minute symbol, and a little second symbol. It looks like this. That is what you're going to see on one of the buttons of your calculator. If it doesn't have a button with those, then it does not work with degrees, minutes, and seconds, and you don't want to get that calculator. You've got to have one that has that particular little button on it. So here we've punched in 45. Now we hit that degree button. I'm always going to call it the degree button. All right, we've hit 45 and we punch in a degree, and then we can hit the equal sign down here. And that'll give us 45 degrees. Now, let's add another 45 degrees. I punch in 45 with another degree button, and it gives me 90. And up here it says degrees, but you notice there's no degree symbol down here on the 90. That's a characteristic of this particular calculator. On another one here that I have, it does have the little symbols, and I'll show you in a minute. Okay, now let's put in 45 degrees plus 45 degrees, and we get 90. But let's add now 25 seconds. How do we add 25 seconds to that? We cannot just go plus 25, push the button once, or push it twice, or push it 3 times. That does not work. That simply doesn't work. What you have to do in this case is 45 degrees, let's say, plus, and we want to add 25 minutes. We have to put in a placeholder of 0 degrees in order to add 25 minutes. If we wanted to add 30 seconds only to this 45 degrees, we would have to punch in 45 degrees plus a placeholder 0 for degrees and a placeholder 0 for minutes, and then enter 30 and push the button again for seconds. I know that's probably a little confusing to you, but you've got to, because there's only one button, you've got to tell the calculator 0 degrees, 0 minutes, 30 seconds. Let me show you. All right. Here we have, let's put in 45 degrees plus, we're going to put in 0 degrees. We put 0 and then push the degree function. Then we're going to put in 0 minutes. And then we're going to put in, what do we say, 30 seconds. And that's what it's going to give us. You see how that's digitized? There's a decimal with all those digits. Now we can, right up here in the top left, and it's generally that spot on calculators, it's an inverse function. You push the inverse, we hit the degree button again, and it converts it back. It took it from decimals back to degrees, minutes, and seconds. All right, let me work that whole thing again for you. Let me work that whole thing again. In fact, what I'm going to do is, after that brief introduction, we're going to start at the top again. All right, I'm going to put in 45 degrees, and I'm going to put in 45 degrees 25 minutes, 30 seconds. Okay? That's what I'm going to put in here. Now watch me closely. 45, I push the degree button once. I want 25 minutes. I punch 25, I push it again. Look at all that nonsense it gave me. Well, once again, it automatically converts it to decimals. But don't worry. Then I'm going to put in 30. I put in 30 and I push the button again. And it gave me, instead of giving me this, what it gave me was 45.425. Now, believe it or not, that is the same thing as that. 45.425 is the same thing as 45 degrees, 25 minutes, and 30 seconds. All right, let me prove that to you. Let me go back to my calculator. We have 45.425. Once again, it converted it to decimals. I want to go back to degrees, minutes, and seconds. I come right up here, and I'm going to push this inverse button. Generally, they're in the top left corner. They may be called second or shift. It depends on the calculator. On this calculator, it's called inverse. On this other calculator right here, it's called second. On the other calculator, it's called shift. You're going to have to look for that button on your calculator. But all I have to do is push it once and hit equals. No, I push it once and go back and push the degree button again. And look, it converted it back. Do you see? 45 degrees, 25 minutes, 30 seconds. That's just what we have here. Now you need to stop right now, get your calculator, and practice that. Practice that all evening long instead of watching something silly on television. Practice putting this in, converting it one way, and then converting it back. Now, we can convert this back again. Here I have 45 degrees, 25 minutes, 30 seconds. Now you'll notice, I hope you can see on this calculator, it doesn't make minute marks or second marks. It just uses degrees. That's a limitation of this Casio calculator. It doesn't have the minute symbol and it doesn't have the second symbol. But that's okay. I understand that and I can work with that. Let's go back and push this inverse button again, this button right here. We go back and push the degree button again, and look, it changed it back to 45.425. So I can work with it 45.425, or I can shift it back to 45 degrees, 25 minutes, 30 seconds, however I want. I can work a whole problem with the decimals. In other words, like this. I can work a whole problem like this, and then at the last step, I can convert it back. Now, like I said, on this calculator, it says inverse. Look on this calculator. It says second. On this other calculator, look at it. It says shift. The buttons all do the same thing. They just have different names. Okay, so once again, you should stop this and practice. But we're going to continue right now. Okay, I've got this in here. Now I'm going to add to this number. I'm going to add 45 degrees. So I come down here, I go plus. See, it automatically converted it back to decimals. Plus 45 degrees. I push my degree, I push in 45 and push my degree function. Then I hit equal. Look, it gave me 90.425. I can push my inverse button in the degree, and it tells me 90 degrees, 25 minutes, and 30 seconds. Practice that. Okay, let's minus 45 degrees now. Now I'm going to hit the minus button, 45 degrees. Equals. There it is. Inverse. 45. I'm back where I started from. Now let's add 45 degrees and 5 minutes. Okay, I add 45. Oops, that was wrong. Well, I blew that. Okay, I pushed the wrong button. Let's put it in again. 45, 25, 30. See, very simple. Now, I'm going to add, I forgot to push the plus sign. I'm going to add 45 degrees, 5 minutes. I added 45, hit the degree button, then I added, and then I put in 25 and hit the degree button, and it gave me, it converted it to decimals. Well, that's okay. I can go up here, I can hit inverse. See, 45, oh, I said 25, I meant 45 degrees and 5 minutes. Now I'm adding that to what I had before. All right, I hit equal, and there it is. I do my inverse or shift, and I get 90, 30, 30. That's exactly what I expected. I had 45, 25, 30. I added 45 and 5 minutes, and I get 90, 30, 30. Okay, now let's go one step further. Let's add 0 degrees, 0 minutes, and 30 seconds. Now I say that because, once again, you've got to have placeholders in these computers, in these calculators, generally speaking. What I mean by that is, if I'm going to add, I just can't add to this number here. Here we have 90, 30, 30. I just can't go plus 30 because it thinks that I'm adding 30 degrees. I've got to put placeholders here of 0, 0, 30 for it to understand that I want 30 seconds to add to this 30 seconds. So here's how we do it. I've got 90, 30, 30. 90 degrees, 30 minutes, 30 seconds. I'm going to plus, and I'm going to add 0 degrees, 0 seconds. I mean minutes, 30 seconds. Equals. All right, let's see what it gave us. That's exactly the answer I expected. See, you add 30 seconds, this makes it 60 seconds. Well, 60 seconds converts to another minute, so that would be 31 minutes, and then 90 degrees. And that's exactly what I got. 90 degrees, 31 minutes, 0 seconds. So that's how this calculator works. Others are different. You're going to have to look at your calculator and figure out how it works. Now, let's subtract 45. Now I want to subtract 45 degrees, 31 minutes from here, from this number. All right, I hit my minus sign down here. I enter in 45, push the degree button, 31 degree button, hit equal, and it brought me back to 45. I hit my inverse, and it's 45 degrees, 0 minutes, 0 seconds. Okay, that is how you add and subtract degrees, minutes, and seconds on this particular calculator. I'd like to say they were all the same, but they're not. You're going to have to look at yours. Now, this is part 1 of this video. Part 2, I'm going to go to another calculator and show you how we do the very same operations on another calculator. Okay, but let me continue with this one for just a minute. Now here I have 45 degrees, 0 minutes, and 0 seconds. Let's add 59 minutes to this. Okay, I'm not even going to write it down. We've done it. You understand it. Let's just do it. I want to add 59 minutes. Well, I can't just add 59 minutes. Once again, I got to put a 0 for a placeholder for the degrees. Then I add 59 minutes. 59 minutes is the same as 0.9833333 degrees. That's 59 minutes in decimals. You don't believe me? Let's do the inverse and punch that. 59. See? Then I hit equals. Now I get 45.9833333. I convert that back. 45 degrees, 59 minutes. Now I'm going to add 180 degrees to this. Plus 180 degrees equals that. I use my inverse button, and there I go. 225, 58, 59. Now, why did it go 59? Because it's been using decimals. And the decimals go out to infinity on some of these things. So sometimes you'll get these odd little numbers like that. That's just one of the deficiencies of the calculator, actually. Okay, so be aware of that. Okay, let's subtract minus 0 degrees, 59 minutes. And it brings us right back to our original number of 225 degrees. Now I'm going to subtract 180. Remember, I added 180. I'm going to subtract 180. And that's what we started out with again. So here we have 45 degrees, 0 minutes, 0 seconds. Okay, well, I'm going to stop at this point, and I'm going to shift calculators, and we're going to start all over again on another calculator and work some more of these problems. I want you to learn how to use your calculator to work with degrees, minutes, and seconds before you come to class, so that you'll be ready to jump right in to our celestial navigation work, already knowing how to use your computer to calculate, to work with degrees, minutes, and seconds. Okay, if you have any questions, you can always contact me at Globus Horizon or my website, www.globizon.com. Go to that website and send me an email. Thank you.